Water and Sewer Board meeting here for this evening here, September the 8th. And at this time, I'll run a roll call here. I don't see Don Roth anywhere. John Moore.
Present.
Chuck Havanek. You got your sound on,
Present.
Chuck? Yeah, I don't see Caitline Mercier. All right. And Francisco, he's here.
Present.
Okay, Drivis Ridley. She's not here. And I'm here. Well, I think that's a quorum for voting members here, so we'll go ahead and proceed with it.
Actually, Member Anderson and I both vote.
Okay. I was told that your votes weren't counted.
Actually, the mayor is required by...
For quorum purposes.
Oh, really? Okay. We're required by charter to be here, so.
Right. Gotcha. All righty. Well, the first item here is a motion to approve the minutes for our previous meeting on September, beg your pardon, on the 11th of August. Do I have a motion for approval of those?
So moved.
Chuck?
I'll second.
It's second. All right. Anybody, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, I see Councilman Wink is present here. Welcome aboard, Mrs. Wink. You got your sound on, Cheryl?
I do. I had my mute on too. Thank you very much, Chuck.
Okay. All right. On new business, we have a motion to approve the submittal of a Bureau of Reclamation grant application, a letter of support, and I've got a copy of that in my hard copy. I wonder if, I suppose the rest of you got it on your email or hard copy. Does anybody have any questions, the comments they would like to make about that motion to submit that to the Bureau of Reclamation? Or Peter, do you want to comment on it?
Yeah, well, Steve Simon has 3 or 4 minutes he'd like to just present on it and talk about what we're doing there. So Steve, I'll turn it over to Steve.
I'm sorry to interrupt. Hold on one second, Steve. Chairman, we missed item A. I don't know if we plan to skip that. Discussion using Zoom, raising hands.
Since we want to move the meeting along fairly fast, we've been able to get by pretty well with the procedures that we've done in the past. All it does is just raise your hand if you're asking questions. If you have a question, as I recall, Jay said that Peter will stop halfway through and ask if anybody has any questions, or myself, I can ask if anybody has any questions. Is that what you want to get in there?
Yeah. Basically, the whole point of that was just to talk about the last meeting seemed a little bit jerky in terms of raising hands and questions, and so we just wanted to make sure that we have everything at least understood, that we'll raise hands for if you have a question, and then we'll try to add just more pauses so that people aren't left behind without getting their questions answered. So we're just trying to smooth that out a little bit. I know it's a little hard with Zoom, and we just wanted to acknowledge that.
Okay, fine. I notice Caitline is finally here. You got your sound on, Caitline?
Yes.
Okay, you're going to have to mute your kids a little bit. We can hear them in the background. Okay. Okay, go ahead on that, Mr. Simon.
Of course. So the purpose of this agenda item is to seek approval of utilities application for $500,000 for Bureau of Reclamation grant funding, as well as solicitation of a letter of support from the board. This grant funding program by the Bureau specifically supports conservation and water efficiency projects. The application we are putting forward is the conversion of, or financial support, supporting the conversion of the city's flat rate customers to metered service. This program requires a 50% funding match, and the work must be complete within 2 years of the grant contract that we, if successful, we would eventually enter into. The 2021 budget that's going to be going to council next month does have funding in this line item. It does exceed the minimum requirement. However, if council does choose to not approve at least $500,000 that we would need to match, the city can withdraw its application. Two important components of the application are a resolution authorizing submittal of it by the governing body. That is a requirement specifically for this project to be included with the application. And Mayor and council members, you have under your consideration of this evening's council the actual resolution that will accompany our application, as well as another letter of support from the mayor on behalf of the council. Previously, this board has indicated a desire to convert the city's remaining flat rate customers to metered service. We have just under 1,300 remaining flat rate customers of our approximately 11,000 accounts. So over 10% of our city customers are still on an unmetered flat rate. Metered service results in conservation savings by providing predominantly by providing a financial incentive to consume less water and change customer habits. It does also identify leaks that go undetected in unmetered systems. If we don't have a meter, we don't know where the water is going. And so in the city's most recent conservation plan, it was actually estimated to save about 100,000 gallons per year. That conservation plan was dated back in 2013. As part of this application, we did update the analysis using more recent data and actually used a different methodology and came out to a number that was pretty close to that. So we feel confident that's a good number to use. Another advantage to the metered service connection, and this was addressed at a previous board meeting, is that customers can potentially reduce their water bill. Customers that have converted, it has been demonstrated that their water bill has been reduced. Current city ordinance only requires changeover when ownership changes or during new construction. We do have a voluntary assistance program. However, participation in that has historically been pretty low. So with these policies in place, we've averaged around 100 conversions per year. So at this rate, with our remaining 1,300, it would take approximately 13 years to convert our remaining customers to metered service. So pending successful selection award for this, is expected that it would be at least 1 year before we would actually enter into a contract. So over that time, we'll be working out various important aspects of the conversion program, including the establishment of any new city policies related to this, how the funds would be shared between the city and the customer, and also working on a public outreach program and identifying what customers would be good candidates for conversion, or setting up an incentive system for individuals to proactively volunteer for it. Applications are due next week, September 17th. We've got a first draft that was just wrapped up today. We expect to have a final draft by the end of the week and give ourselves a couple days flexibility and get it submitted early next week. This is an annually recurring program. We do expect to, or anticipate, seeking funding in future years to further support remaining flat rate conversions, converting some of our walk-up meters to the drive-by type, and then an eventual conversion to enhancement to an automated meter reading system. So that concludes my discussion, Chair, and I'm happy to take any questions in the amount of time you'd like to devote to this.
Any member boards would like, or members of the board like to put Steve through the questions? John, you got anything?
I was just practicing raising my hand. I don't know if it worked or not.
Yes, I just saw your hand raised up. I was just about to call you.
Right. Small successes. So historically, I just want a couple thoughts. Historically, the individual pays for the cost of conversion. Is that correct?
They pay for the parts plus a 20% escalator, and then city staff will actually execute the conversions, and we don't request any reimbursement from city labor to have them installed.
Okay, good. And then in terms of to the extent there's a city match, I'm just throwing out an idea here, to the extent there's a city match required, yet the ultimate beneficiary of this arguably, I mean, is the system. Is there a way that, I'll say the city's general fund ultimately, how do I say this? That ultimately this is not being covered by the city's general fund, but the match is somehow being covered by the savings that the system benefits from over the subsequent years. Does that make
Yes,
sense?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. So this is purely water enterprise fund. So any amount of money that we bring in through grants or other types of revenue sources, that offsets needed rates from customers specific to the water fund.
So I'm sorry, in terms of the, help me out here, in terms of the match that's required for us to get this, where's that match coming from?
Water enterprise fund. So
Got it.
it's in our enterprise fund budget.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yep.
Any other members have a question?
Can I just add one more comment?
Sure.
And this is for Councilmember Wink. So Councilmember Wink alerted me to Water Now probably 10 months ago, and that's through our discussions with Lindsay at Water Now. She's the one who suggested this as a grant program, and that was in February timeframe. Then Steve came on board in April, and he's been working with Stantec to develop this grant application, which is actually about a 50-page application. It's not some small level of effort. And so really this is the culmination of that seed, that idea from 10 months ago. And so I just wanted to thank Councilmember Wank for planting that seed.
Okay.
Thank you so
I
much,
guess-
Director Venner. I appreciate that.
I have a question, Steve. One question. Those 1,300 customers, are they all residential or a combination of commercial and residential?
It's a combination, Chair, but it's comprised mostly of residential.
Okay, thank you. Well, does anybody have any other questions? If not, can I get a motion for approval of the submittal of this application to the Bureau of Reclamation grant application?
So moved.
So, seconded.
Seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that motion carries. Next motion is for the approval of a development of a customer assistance program. Peter?
Wait, I think
Yeah,
think
Jay has something here.
no, 5C was raw water quality discussion. I think that's our next item.
Oh, okay, that's right. We moved that other down to the next one. Well, wait, that was
But yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
that motion for development of customer assistance was under old business, and Jay said they moved it up and leave it in 5C.
it's actually in 6C.
Oh, well, it's under 6C. It's both in two places.
Yeah. We apologize for that error. It was
Yeah.
actually supposed to be in 6C.
You want
So
to
it's
leave
all
it
going
in
to be part
6C?
of that those motions.
Okay, I got that wrong. I'm sorry then.
No,
Then
we messed that up, so I apologize.
No problem. Well, go to 5D, raw water quality discussion.
Okay, so this was a question that Board Member Mercier brought up last month, and it seems like we may have missed the mark in answering the question because the question seems like it was more about raw water quality. And so, Board Member, if you can maybe just clarify what your question was.
So my question was whether or not, or if something has changed in the raw water that we get that has made it more challenging to treat in relation to the taste. Not, something that has changed with the water after it's been treated, it's before. Because I know the more exposure water gets, the more difficult it can be to treat depending on where it is coming from. And so I just wanted to know what has changed to make the summer months taste more challenging to treat. Is it
So I
just
think that-
only algae?
Well, so I think a significant factor in this is the amount of water that's actually just flowing in the South Platte. And this summer has been extremely dry. So there's been a very limited release out of Chatfield Reservoir. And so when that happens, you have a really, really small base flow of water. And so instead of a large flow of water interacting with the surrounding environment, it becomes more and more concentrated in its flow. And then we pick up the same amount that we need in the summer. So so really what I think is causing more of the challenge, especially this summer, is the fact that it's been so dry and there's been such a low flow rate in the plat itself. And so it's just like the raw water, the pollutants in the raw water are more concentrated, and so they become more difficult to get completely out. Although we get them out, we do treat them to the same level that's required by state standard. It's just this is where we sometimes get more of an issue with taste and odor. And so I think that's really the predominance of what's affecting us this year. Long term, this is something that we want to look at. It's not going to change in the future. We're going to have this type of flow regime into the future. And so I think one of our longer term strategies is to figure out if there's what improvements to the treatment process we can make to not just address the water from a hardness perspective, but address it from a taste and odor perspective. And that's a project that Angela and Steve are both working on, near-term solutions that we can do to treatment now, and then additional technologies that we may need or may be able to install in the next few years. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. And I assume we do use PAC to help treat the taste.
We do. We use PAC and GAC, so PAC is powder activated carbon, and then GAC is granular activated carbon. So we actually have two carbon processes. But it is, when the raw water gets this concentrated and it's this low of a flow rate, it's just more difficult to treat.
Caitline, I would just make a suggestion if you can find the time. I know you're a busy lady, but if you could see Angela, I'm sure she could give you a tour of the water plant, the Allen filter plant, and give you a little update, and you visually see what's going on. It sure gave me an outlook. So how does that sound to you, Angela? Would you take an invitation on that if she can make it?
Oh, I would love that. Absolutely.
How does that look for you, Caitline?
Yeah, I definitely can. I may bring my daughter with me just so she can really see it all.
Okay.
Even better, even better.
Okay. All right. I think we got that answered. Now, Peter, should we move down to old business now?
Yep, we can do that.
Okay. The proposed 2021 budget. Do you want to address that?
Yeah, so what I'll do is I will it's very similar to the presentation you saw last month. I'm going to go through it very quickly. It's just as a refresher. It was more just so you had documentation of the budget as currently proposed for the water fund and the sewer fund. I'll go through those and then look for a motion recommending approval of the budget. So let me share my screen. I'm going to go really quite fast so we can get through everything. But can you all see my screen?
Not yet.
How about now?
Yeah, it's coming up.
We got it. Now we got it.
Okay, perfect. Okay, let me get on my thing here. All right, so this is the water fund budget, and this is very similar to last month. The one thing that we did find is we actually had a duplication in the capital expense line item for we had $675,000 show up for the same project twice, so we removed that. So this budget is actually $675,000 lower than what you saw last month, and so we made that clarification. That's really the only thing that's changed is basically a reduction in the budget. All of this is what we're focused on. These are the staffing requests that we have, which between water and sewer totals 8 FTEs for next year. These are the programs that we've talked at length about over the past several months. This is probably the most important part, which is the financial plan is based on and the budget is based on these changes in revenue. And so that's a water rate increase of 4%, a capital investment fee of $15, a water resources connection fee of $17,504, and then you can see the reduction in the water system connection fee, which is the distribution system. Now, last month we did talk about looking at some kind of a phase-in, and so we presented that to council we presented a $7.50 option to council earlier this, or late in on August 24th. And the recommendation from council was to move forward with 15 to basically make the change all at one time. So that's what we've proposed to move forward with. These are the capital projects, just more for your information. And that's it for water. I'm going to keep going with sewer. And so the sewer, this is largely the same. There was one minor change. I think it was $10,000. So it's pretty much what you saw last month. You can see the total budget, which includes Englewood's half of South Platte Renew, which is why it is a significant budget. Oh, sorry. This was that must be a duplicate slide. So this is what we were focused on. This is again, the other part of that, of the staffing that we've discussed before. These are the programs that we've talked about. And again, this is the most important part, which is the change in revenue. So a 4.5% sewer rate increase, a sewer collection connection fee reduction of $7.99, and yet and then an increase to the sewer treatment connection fee of $5.69. And so what that means is that a sewer treatment connection fee is what actually goes out to all of our connector districts, and so that will be a total of $1,969. These are some of the major capital requests that we've got for 2021. And with that, I would seek a motion to recommend approval from council for the 2020 budget as proposed.
Anybody have any questions of Peter? If not, can we get a motion for we pass on the budget proposal for 2021 to council? What's the motion for that? Somebody wish to make a motion?
I'll make a move.
Okay, Caitline makes it. Second?
I'll second.
Who's that? Chuck? Chuck, did you second that?
I said, I think somebody might have already said second when I did it.
Oh, well, maybe John did. How about that, John? Did you
Otherwise, I second.
Oh, Francesco.
second? All right. Any further discussion on the proposed budget? If not, all in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay. Before we go any further, I'll welcome Mrs. Ridley aboard. We're moving this along pretty fast because the council members have to get out of here for their meeting at 6 o'clock. So it'll be a kind of a reduced thing if you got that, Mrs. Ridley.
I've been here the whole time. It's just that I've been muted. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I'm different phone this time, and it was just purely by mistake.
Okay, very good. We'll continue.
Thank you.
Next is a motion for approval of the rates and fees, 2021 rates and fees. Peter?
Okay, so again, I will do a quick presentation, just recapping everything that we've talked about, building towards where we are today over the last several months. And so can everybody see my screen?
Not yet. Well, yeah, you're coming up.
Okay, is it the presentation that says Stantec on it?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Okay, so what we're looking to achieve today is consensus on connection fees, miscellaneous fees, the preferred rate plan that we've talked about, and then the customer assistance program. So if you recall connection fees, this is what we proposed from a connection fee approach, which is the RCNLD, and the total connection fee being $21,346. Again, this is what all factors into that budget that we just talked about. You can see where that puts us from lowest to fourth lowest. Miscellaneous fees. This is the table of updated miscellaneous fees that we will recommend to propose or recommend to council for approval for 2021. The financial plans that we've talked about, like I said before, we have moved forward with the $15 CIF optimized scenario 1 based on feedback from council in August. And then the sewer hasn't changed in quite some time. It's the optimized scenario with 4.5%. And then that puts us at total average monthly bill of $63.04, moving up from the bottom to second lowest. And keep in mind that this is based on 6,000 gallons per month average usage. And even though in the winter, a lot of people are in Englewood use less than 6,000 gallons, we use the 6,000 gallons because it does approximate the increased usage over the summer. So that question has come up more recently, but that's why we chose 6,000, and it matches with the minimum charge number that's already established for the sewer fund. So some of the assumptions that went into the rate schedules, this is what we've talked about before, which is the admin fee equivalent and the CIF equivalent. And so if you recall, we talked through the meter ratios, and these are the new meter ratios that we are proposing to move forward with. These again are based on AWWA standard manuals of practice. And so these are financially accepted approaches that are nationally accepted. The quarterly admin fee, you can see what changes as we move into higher meter sizes so that we're more accurately reflecting what that standard industry practice is. Outside city multiplier, we went through this calculation and came up with a recommended multiplier of 1.4. That's what we would propose to continue with. If you recall, that's the same multiplier that we use for our volumetric rate right now. And so we just standardize it. The quarterly admin fee impacts you can see are shown here. Really, and this is for outside city. So you can see we only have one 3-inch outside. The rest of them are 2-inch and smaller. And then the capital improvement fee, which is the new fee, and the equivalent meter proposed, this is a third column over. This is the proportionate multiplier to make sure that we're equitably charging the same rate based on meter size. And you can see the capital improvement fee impacts for outside city. And then sewer, this is just a 4.5% increase. We have not done any major modifications to the schedule this time around. That's things that we'll do likely in the future, or in future rounds of optimizing the schedule. So right now it's just a 4.5% increase. And this is how we make up that customer bill impact. You can see the total combined ends up being at 6304, which is what I showed in that graph, which is the comparison between the city of Englewood and other cities. And then you can see the outside city accounts for that multiplier on the water side, which makes it at 7659. And that's at 6,000 gallons per month of usage. The last piece we want to get a recommendation to move forward with is the customer assistance program. And these are the main components of a customer assistance program, and essentially the elements that we'll be developing over the fall and into the winter, so that by the time these rates and fees apply on April 1st, we will have this program in place so that people can apply for it. These are actually updated numbers from a delinquency. We had 2% last month. They're actually at 1.6%. And then from a delinquency on revenue, it's actually only 0.44% of total annual revenues. So I've included these two slides because we did get better numbers on those. So while there is a delinquency increase associated with COVID, it's not incredible yet. It's still manageable. And so with that, we would be seeking a motion to recommend approval of the rates and fees and the assumptions that I've outlined, and then also a recommendation for a customer assistance program.
All right, thank you. Well, the first recommendation is the approval for the new 2021 rates and fees. Do I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make a motion.
All right, Federico, do we have a second? Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion on rates and fees? All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Same motion. All right, the second motion is for a approval of the customer assistance program that they're going to develop for next year. Does anybody want to make a motion?
I move that we approve the customer assistance program.
Second?
I'll
Do we have a
second.
Second.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion on the assistance program? If not,
Yeah,
John?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I missed it. What, I apologize, wasn't tracking. What specifically is the motion for? I apologize if I need you to go backwards, but
What I would look for is a motion to approve the creation of a customer assistance program.
Okay.
no parameters around it. Just is the motion that this board supports the concept?
Yes.
Or is the motion that is this board suggesting something specific?
What I'm looking for a motion is to move forward with the creation of the program. What we will do is then develop a program and then bring it back for final approval of the recommended program. So this is really just to get approval to move forward with the development of that program. No specifics yet in terms of what that looks like.
Including source of funding.
That's correct.
I mean, is this, yeah, are these, we've talked at times about whether these are voluntary donations versus covered by other users' fees, right? Is this all that's still open?
Yes. So that's the intention. The intention today is to get a motion to move forward with the development of that type of a program. All the details of the development of that program is what we'll work on over the next several months, and then we'll bring a set of recommendations to the Water Sewer Board and then Council ultimately for approval of that program in line with when these rates and fees increase next April.
I'll just share, I struggle on, it's somewhat of a nuance here, but I just struggle at some point between the allocation of taxpayer dollars for that kind of purpose. Feels like more like a council decision. On the flip side, if at the end of the day, this is just a recommendation for council to consider, it's a little different. So I'll just say I'm certainly in support of the concept and exploring it. Guess I'm trying to personally limit. There's a line I don't feel like I want to cross about making a recommendation about how those dollars are spent or collected. And so, but that sounds like that's more of a phase 2. That would really be more related to the vote down the road. Is that a fair way to look at it?
That is exactly how I intended it. I see the mayor has her hand up as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure this needs a vote. It's more of a consensus that you want to see something done and brought back. But you're right, John. The council's going to eventually vote on this, but we want your perspective and your input on it.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll just, verbally, I certainly support the exploration of it, and I mean, I support the concept of it. I'm just there's a nuance I'm trying to limit my vote to, but that's not what I view as on the table today. So I appreciate the discussion.
Yeah, I think that the reason why I separated this out as a third motion is because it's something that we do not have today. However, through all the discussions this summer, it has been a critical aspect of how these rates and fees move forward. And so I just wanted to make sure that there was an acknowledgement that we have heard the Water and Sewer Board and thereby additionally the council later on this fall, that this is an important thing, and yes, staff move forward with the creation of that. That's really what I'm trying to get at least memorialized. Now the specifics of it would be a later vote.
I think I'm there. I guess I just personally, I find trouble if at some point I'm actually suggesting that fees are used to directly support this, and whether or not that's appropriate for this board to do. But again, even into the day, at most it's a recommendation. So that's probably going to be fine then too. Like, I'm certainly on board with moving forward with the concept. So I think for today, my concerns are not overly relevant for today.
That sounds all right. I think it's overall for the rest of the whole board, it's a concept. We're not really voting to go ahead and enact it because they have to study it. They got many things in what parameters they have as to how they come out. And they're going to study Aurora and Castle Rock's water to see how they're doing the same thing. Right, Peter?
That's the intention, is not just Aurora and Castle Rock, but nationwide. And then we'll bring back our proposals that you can look at.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Okay. At this point, I would add the mayor, if you need to go at 5:30, you could buzz out, I guess.
Thank you. I do have one last thing I need to get ready, so I appreciate it. Thanks for your work tonight, everybody.
Wait, were we doing, I'm sorry, the vote was on the table. Should we grab the
Oh,
vote?
yeah, I
before
should
we
vote.
leave?
We should vote.
Okay. Now the vote's on the table. We have discussion. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor? All right, I guess you.
Hey, Chair Wiggins, I'd like to go do a few more things to prepare for my next meeting as well. So I'm going to go ahead and take off here as well.
Okay.
Same here.
How about you, Cheryl? Do you want to stay or you want to leave too?
I want to stay, but I have to leave.
Okay, well, thank you for attending and we will see you next month then.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right.
Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to let you know that we do have 2 attendees in this meeting. We have one of our superintendent, Aaron Robinson, and we also have another attendee by the name of Carl Adams.
All righty. If you'll bring them on board, we'll let them know what their time frame is and they can address the group here.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know that they.
Chairman, these are just attendees that I wanted to make you aware of. So
Oh,
they're
yes.
just paying attention and watching the
Okay. I thought they
meeting.
wanted to
Yeah.
address us. I'm sorry.
No. Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. Well, then the next item on here for old business is D, update with the Denver fire valve turning issue.
So if you recall, this was the issue that we had last month where we talked about the Denver fire opening a valve and flooding a excavation pit. So Angela has met with at least the city of Englewood fire marshal, and so she's going to provide an update.
So so Aaron Robinson, who is one of the attendees today, he and I met with with the Englewood fire marshal and kind of walked him through what had happened. We were originally trying to set up a meeting with the Denver fire marshal as well, and he was not able to attend. So I will be setting up a follow-up meeting to go over the incident. The Englewood fire marshal offered up that he could do some additional coordination so that more folks were aware of utility work that would be ongoing. But generally all agreed that it was not a safe situation. What we came up with kind of in-house, and I have a little show and tell tonight, for areas that that border other cities and then other water providers, we are going to be putting in these water plugs. And they fit right inside of the meter box. Most valve boxes say valve, just like most manhole covers say sewer. So it doesn't really delineate ownership. And then it's kind of hard to tell, but this little tag right here says Englewood Water. And then on the flip side, it has a phone number that they can call if they have questions. But it should be a good visual indicator to say, this is not really yours. You have no business being in the valve box. And that's going to be anywhere where we border other cities and water providers all of the time. When we're actually doing work that requires those valves to be locked out and tagged out, we have a kind of another system which is a lot more secure. So this actually fits into, same thing fits into the valve box. There is a danger do not operate tag on it, which has, on the flip side, it has Englewood Water's phone number as well. And this is pretty good at actually preventing people from turning the valve. They have to do kind of a lot of damage to get this out in order to turn it. So again, it keeps all the honest people out, but these things are going to be installed where we're doing active work. So if someone comes across this, it should be a pretty good indicator for standard lockout tagout that someone else is doing something that you don't want to mess with this. So that's kind of a summary of the stuff that we're doing in-house and policies and procedures that we've changed, and then ongoing with Denver Fire to just kind of do a final check with them. But they did say that they typically don't operate valves unless there is a situation which is immediately dangerous to public safety in terms of the roadways that people are traveling on or people in general. And so they did say that for this particular scenario, because there was a minimal amount of water, the road was not in danger of collapsing and people were not being affected that were kind of walking and traveling in cars, they should not have operated that valve. So
Very good. Now, is there any penalty that you're going to slap their hands or?
I wish I had a ruler. I'd get out my ruler. We are going to have a follow-up meeting with Denver just so that we can get the face-to-face to say, hey, people could have been seriously injured, and I want to make sure that that's something that's crystal clear, because that's something that is definitely near and dear to my heart, is protecting the safety of our workers under any scenario. And it's dangerous enough whenever you're in a trench under optimal conditions, but to have a situation that absolutely could have been avoided, that's not okay.
Very good. Anybody else want to question Angela on her work here or comment on it? I think he did fine.
Thank you.
All right. Response to the board's questions from the August 11th Water and Sewer Board meeting. The memorandums were attached. They was a response to the main break update follow-up question. Does anybody have any questions or look at that? Caitline, did you want to comment any further on that?
No, I think it covered everything. I'm just surprised, but not surprised we don't have anything in place to be able to see how much water is being used in an instant like that. But we must not have a lot of breaks that shut off water frequently. So. But that's, I mean, I'm sure we will eventually, because it kind of sounded like we would be looking into it as a possibility.
Well, yeah, and that's a really good point. So what Steve just talked about, which was the progression of our metering technology. So the first step is getting people off of flat rate meters, and a lot of organizations did this 20 years ago, and so we're a little bit behind the curve in terms of that. And then moving to the next phase, which a number of utilities have done in just the past few years, is this automated meter infrastructure, which is basically it's the type of meter reading infrastructure that you'd be able to pinpoint per customer hour by hour usage rates. And so at that point in time, if there was a break and it was in a particular area, then we could potentially geolocate those affected customers, and then we could look at their bill and trend it back to previous bills to determine how much of a spike there was because they had to flush their system. I would say that we're still several years off from that technology. There are a few utilities on the Front Range that I know have completed their installation of this type of infrastructure. And it's really powerful for the customer once you actually have it in place, but it is also an expensive undertaking. And so it's in our long-term phasing. It's just we have some more immediate things like, taste and odor that we would like to get addressed first.
Right, gotcha. Okay, Caitline? Okay, next item is on the city ditch. Peter, you want to follow up on that question?
Were there any follow-up questions on the information provided?
On yeah, you had it on here that your response to the portfolio on the questions about the city ditch, the water that dies at Harvard Gulch. Did you have anything further on that? I think I don't.
Just if there are any questions from the memo, I think the memo answered the questions.
Right. Okay.
If there's any follow-up.
I have one comment for Angela again. As I asked if you could take Caitline down there, I think it would be nice for our new members, for Mr. Martinez and Mrs. Ridley, if they would like to attend, all of you go down for a tour of the plant. You might look at that, because like I said, I didn't think about it at the time, but we did it in mass too when I was new on the board. So I'm sure the three of them would enjoy, if they would like to, at least give them the opportunity. So that give you two more you can add to your list, Angela.
Absolutely. Yeah, just absolutely reach out to me and we will get something set up.
And another question, I noticed in the paper recently that they're testing the sewage from the University of Colorado and stuff. Was our sewage plant any of the places they were testing for the COVID by chance?
Yeah, actually, yes, we were. So this one goes back several months. We actually, way back in March, right when the shutdown all occurred, I was actually reading on my Apple iPhone a Popular Mechanics article on testing sewage for presence of COVID, and at the bottom of it said, "Please reach out if you know of a facility that would want to participate in this." And that was through a company called BioBot, and they're outside of they're actually out of MIT, I believe. And so on, I think it was March 29th, we signed up. South Platte Renew signed up to be part of that study. And so that slowly built, and then they capped it at 400 utilities nationwide. So we were one of the first utilities in. Subsequently, I've actually done 3 television interviews and one magazine article interview on this specifically. I was interviewed by Fox News. I was interviewed by Denver 7, and then I was actually interviewed by the China Global Television Network, CGTN. And that's generally one that's used, it's an English speaking network that targets Chinese Americans in the US. So it's largely West Coast. So we've actually been fairly active in this whole process. So from that came this more regionalized approach with CSU, of which we are also participating in that. And so we're going to continue to participate with BioBot through the end of the year and use CARES funding to pay for the cost of those samples. And then longer term, we're going to stay in this more regional approach with CSU. So this is one of those ones that we were actually kind of out ahead of on, and have actually gotten some decent press for the plant. We can send you the links to all the television news articles if you'd like.
They haven't invited you to China yet, have they?
They have not. I'm awaiting my
invitation.
My invitation, but have not. No.
Congratulations on jumping on that right away. That's good for you.
Yeah, I think it was good for us as an organization. It really got us out there from an industry perspective.
Good. The only last thing I'd like to mention to old members and the newer members is just make a comment that a previous member of our board and mayor, Randy Penn, died this last week. If anybody was aware of that or did not know, Randy had a massive stroke last week ago Saturday, I guess, and I think he died last Thursday. But he used to be, as a mayor, he came to our sewer and water board meetings, so I did miss him. It's just a matter of comment. Does anybody else on the board wish to make any comments, suggestions, recommendations? If not, I will call this meeting adjournment. Thank you for your participation, and we will see you next month. Stay warm.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.